Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Hello, inspired listeners. Welcome to another Wisdom Wednesday and another inspiring episode of Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim. So happy and grateful you could join us here on OMTimes Radio. I'm your host today, Mark Leonhardt, the Intuitive Prospector here in Seattle, Washington. And my co-host, Kim Thalken in Richmond, Virginia, is traveling on the road. And she will be actually back in September, pretty much running all the shows for September as I get ready to travel on the road. So Kim, just want to give you a shout out, say safe travels to you. She's heading to all over the United States. So safe travels, my dear, and we'll see you in September. If you would like to work with Kim and get an amazing reading or healing from Kim, you can visit her site at lovefirst.info. She is also located in the Richmond, Virginia area and also bicoastal in the LA area in Encino, California. So if you want to find out the work that I'm doing here in Seattle, Washington, you can visit my site at markleonhardt.com. You can do an internet search for the Intuitive Prospector. I do have a couple events coming up, but I will be gone most of the month of September out of country traveling, but I'll be back in October in Boston, Massachusetts for a evening of spirit messages and also a one-day psychic workshop. And then also at the end of October, I'll be up in Canada for an evening of spirit messages and a one-day psychic mediumship development course. So if you want to participate and get registered for those classes either in Boston or up in Canada, Vancouver, BC, please visit markleonhardt.com for more information and tickets on Eventbrite Tickets. So we were getting ready to go on the air, and I got the news that Louise Hay had passed into spirit at the age of 90. So I want to just give a couple shout outs. One, want to read a quote from Louise Hay. A few quotes actually, and just give her an inspired listening shout out for the pioneering work that she did as a publisher, Hay House Radio. And it's interesting that she decided to choose to transition back into the spirit world today, because 2 years ago, her close friend and colleague, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who actually started way back for my spiritual journey, listening to him on the radio. So they're both up in the spirit world, having a great time. And just a few quotes I want to read from Louise Hay to remember who she was: a beautiful being, a beautiful person, a wonderful spirit. My day begins and ends with gratitude and joy. And every experience I have is perfect for my growth, and including today with her transition into the spirit world. So she is now exactly perfect. And another quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer, just in remembrance of both of them. With everything that has happened to you, you can either feel sorry for yourself or treat what has happened as a gift. Everything is either an opportunity to grow or an obstacle to keep you from growing. You get to choose. And that's from Dr. Wayne Dyer. So just give an inspired listening shout out to both Dr. Wayne Dyer in the spirit world and now Louise Hay. Rest in peace. Also want to give an inspired listening shout out to all of the people that are impacted by this disastrous storm down in Texas, all of our neighbors down in the state of Texas, along with all of the rescue workers. As a former Coastie, I saw today that the Coast Guard by themselves have rescued over 4,000 people in this storm. So our thoughts and prayers are going out to the people of Texas and all the people that are doing the rescue, and the National Guard, local fire and police, FEMA, Homeland Security, and of course the Coast Guard. We've put a donate button on the Inspired Listening page on Facebook. So if you want to get involved, if you want to help and feel like you're contributing to making a difference, not only for the people of Texas, but in our world, please head to our Inspired Living Radio page on Facebook, and there's a donate button there that you can participate in. If you want to follow us on social media, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And the handle for Twitter and Instagram is Inspired For Us. Google Plus Communities. And our encore shows, if you can't catch the live show today, you can always catch us over on iTunes, YouTube, OMTimes Radio Archives, Podbean, SoundCloud, markleinhart.com, or lovefirst.info. If you decide that you want to ask us a question for today's show and our very special guest, you can post that to the Facebook page if you are out of country, out of the United States, Inspired Living Radio. And we also have an interactive map. So if you do decide to join as an Inspired listener, please click on the map and put a little pin. Let us know where you're listening to from around the globe. We love our Inspired listening community and our Inspired listeners. And if you want to call in to the phone line right now, here in the United States, the number to call in is 1-202-570-7057. Okay, so we have a very special guest today. This is her first time joining us here on Inspired Living Radio. Tori Hartman is a professional intuitive. Following a near-death experience almost 20 years ago, Tori was visited by a spirit who told her a collection of brightly colored stories. These stories prompted her lifelong fascination with color, the chakras, and the power to transform and heal lives. Tori is based in Asheville, North Carolina. I've been to Asheville, love Asheville, North Carolina. And if you would like to find out more about Tori Hartman and the Chakra Wisdom Oracle Cards, you can visit chakrawisdomoracle.com. And we're going to be talking about her book today. It's a fun read, and it's a very insightful and educational. And it's called How to Read the Cards for Yourself and Others by Tori Hartman. Tori, welcome to Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim.
Thank you. The end Kim is missing, but
well, she's here. She is here in spirit. She's here in energy, along with Louise Hay, Dr. Wayne Dyer. They're all here in spirit, and they're all here in energy. So we're going to have a great show today. So for our inspired listeners all around the world, kind of just introduce yourself and talk about what happened 20 years ago as this. For a lot of us, a shaking that caused an awakening to put you here today to talk about the How to Read the Cards for Yourself and Others book that just came out.
Well, first of all, I want to just preface all this by saying, for those of you who think Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer just kind of made it, I just want to say that Louise Hay published her first book at 50. Okay. Mm-hmm. And Wayne Dyer took his books around the country in the back of his car and went to little radio stations. Mm-hmm. So I just want to really say that when you talk about inspired and inspiration, we're bouncing off today that kind of conversation where these are people who, she didn't start at 20. It wasn't until she was 50 that she published her first book. So I want to say that to people who are, maybe a little more mature and want to get things done, and it's not too late, is that message. So I wanted to really chime in and say that, Mark, because I think it's really important that people know that, don't you?
Yeah, it's a great point. Thanks for bringing that out. And again, true pioneers in what they did and what they do, and now being in the spirit world, just really remembering them and what they did and what they went through. Yeah, it's not an easy path for sure.
So it's an important thing to recognize that, and for me, Wayne Dyer was a huge, huge influence. And going back to, I had a near-death experience in my 20s, and after that time, and that's a long, long story, so I'm giving you the shorter version of it. But basically, after that time, I had various angels and spirit guides come to me to tell me the various stories that would later become the Chakra Wisdom Oracle Cards. And when I decided I had a mastermind group, and I started this mastermind group, and we started studying these fables that had come forward to me, and it developed into the card deck. During this time, I have to say that, it wasn't like I had this big, huge spiritual awakening. And like you, Mark, I'd always been a little intuitive, if that makes sense. I always knew that I had empathic feelings. I was just never someone that was going to hang out a shingle in Times Square, if that makes sense.
No, I totally get that.
Spiritual advisor. That wasn't me.
I'm with you.
So it wasn't really my thing to do that, and I think that I really tried to get the cards published. Originally it was a series of fables. No one would do it. So I said, oh, just F it. I'm doing it myself. So I took all my life savings in my late 30s, and I went to China, and I spent just about $100,000 in printing up these cards. I'd found an artist online who said, well, it's going to take me a year to do it. I said, well, what do I care? I've been with this for 15 or 20 at that point. And anyway, I sent her the manuscript. In those days, we mailed it. And once a week, every week, I saw a little picture in my, what do you call it? It was just in my inbox, really. But it was, anyway, she sent me an image of one of the cards. And what happened over that time was that eventually every single card came in, and she called me up, and I'd never met her, and she said, hey, I feel like there's another card. I said, I don't feel another card, but I feel a spirit, and I'm not sure what that's about. So long story short, I got the cards done in China, $90-something thousand, and they get delivered, 10,000 units of these cards, by the way, all over my front lawn, my neighbor's lawn, my driveway. I didn't know how many 10,000 was, right? No concept. And so I had them put in storage after I was crying and down on my knees and praying. And I just said, okay, get storage. And then I found out that I couldn't sell them on Amazon because I paid too much for them. So the price I was asking, Amazon was going to take too much. So it was one of those, oh my gosh, now what? And I just sat down and I said, okay, and I just heard give it away. And so I put a little shuffler online for the last couple grand I had.
So, Tori, hold that thought right there. We're going to go to our first break, and then we'll pick this right back up when we come back in 2 minutes here on Inspired Living Radio. And again, the energy, just another quote from Louise Hay, I am love, I am energy, I am a shining light. We'll be back in 2 minutes here on Inspired Living Radio.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you seeking answers to life questions? Would you like to connect to a departed loved one? Are you suffering from pain, stress, or anxiety? Kimberly Thalkin is a tested, certified, and professional psychic, spiritual medium, energy healer, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Love First, where life transformations happen. Love First services support, guide, and empower individuals by connecting them to their highest potential to live a healthier, joyful, and meaningful life that's filled with purpose. All services can be done by phone, Skype, or in person in Encino, California. Please visit lovefirst.info. That's LOVEFIRST.info for more information.
Aloha, my name is Jennifer O'Neill, and I'd like to invite you to come join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time for my show, Spirit Chat. Spirit Chat focuses on simplifying the process of using the spiritual tools and gifts you were born with in a way that fits into your everyday life. I also teach different techniques that will help you learn how to navigate the spirit realm and empower you on your own spiritual journey. So join me this Wednesday as I guide you through the spirit world.
There are many sounds in your daily life. Ones that make you smile. Ones that help you relax. And there are some sounds that can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you critical information about emergencies in your area. With updates from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey, inspired listeners, welcome back to Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio. Just want to let the inspired listening community know right now we're going to open up the phone lines. If you want to call in and ask a question of myself or our special guest today, Tori Hartman, the number to call in is 1-202-570-7057. That number is good here in the United States. If you're outside the United States and part of our global audience, you can just go to our Facebook page, Inspired Living Radio, and post your question there, and I'll be happy to bring that live to air. Wanted to also give our Inspired Living Radio positive affirmation for this month, the month of August. It's the last day of August, and that is, I don't have to be anyone but myself. Who I am is enough. I don't have to be anyone but myself. Who I am is enough, and that's the Inspired Living Radio positive affirmation. So, Tori, welcome back. We were just getting into the introduction and about the cards and the $90,000 that you spent to go to China, and really kind of just when you were talking, it reminded me of exactly what Dr. Wayne Dyer did and made his book, put him in the trunk, drove around, giving that information to the radio shows. So let's pick this back up in the second segment of our show here, and let's continue to talk about your wonderful book, How to Read the Cards for Yourself and Others.
Well, to finish that little story, which was that I had spent all this money, I'd put the whole thing online, and fortunately people came. And one by one, they bought the card deck from me directly. And in just under 3 years, about 2.5 years, I sold 10,000 units off my website. And then I decided at that moment I wanted a publisher, and I wound up with going to London, and I met with the people at Watkins, and they've been phenomenal. And since then, it's now in 7 languages, and it's sold over 50,000 decks. And the point I'm making in all of this, and the reason I'm sharing it with you, is because I really believe that, you put out a deck, and it comes with this little book. And I really felt that what I heard from the angels and what they brought me with the Chakra Oracle Wisdom was a lot more than just a card and a card deck. And so the next thing that happened was the toolkit came out, which included the original fables. And, of course, this is the trilogy. The third book is How to Read the Cards for Yourself and Others, which is what we're talking about now. And in that book, I really go into how to shift your state into the state of reading, what the difference is between your brain and your intuition, and how to tell and how to know, the signals that show up with it. And, the idea of not giving advice in readings, that's not our place. Our place is to, give a pure message and remember that the person we're reading already has their answers. So it's a very different kind of teaching that I'm working with. And I really think that it can be very dangerous if we try to give too much prediction to people, because they can become addicted to the idea that you know better than them. And that's just, I don't think that's true. I think everyone has their own answers. So in How to Read for the Cards for Yourself and Others, it was really about the if I'm just putting it bluntly, it really is the final trilogy for me, of the Chakra Wisdom Cards, the original fables, and how to read them. And I'm just, really what it comes down to, Mark, is I didn't want to turn away from what I felt was very important in that, really giving people all the information they need to do the work on their own. And that, to me, is vital, because, otherwise they become addicted to what we're doing. And the purpose of coaching, the purpose of doing any of this, is to empower people to do it for themselves. So,
yeah, exactly. And I think because you and I come from the same place of not wanting to hang that shingle and be a spiritual light worker when this all started, I think we take that. I think we have that insight, and I'm the same way, that we can plant seeds and we can guide, but at the end of the day, it's a person's personal responsibility, and the greatest power we're ever given is free will and choice to decide how we want our life to flow. And what I love about the book, I love that it's built around the 49 mystical fables. The cards are really fun. Lots of color. I always like to see books and cards that represent a lot of color, because I think color is a very important part of our daily journey as far as our intuition and our awakening, and paying attention to all the sign symbols and synchronistic events, if you will, that happens on a daily basis in the present moment. And congratulations on, taking that leap of faith to go to China, take all of your life savings, and do this. And now, how many languages did you say it's been translated into?
It's actually in 7 right now, and it will be 9 because Spanish and German are next. And
awesome.
It's really wonderful to see that no matter what language, people are getting the energy. And one other thing that I wanted to say is this deck in itself is really about, I think, becoming that inner artist, like finding our own voice. Because to round out that other story, the woman who drew the deck, about 6 months after I self-published it and I put it up on the website, she died. And I recognized this was the only big body of work that she would be known for. And she, as Wayne Dyer used to say, she didn't die with her music in her. She played that note, and I recognized that she, as the artist, was the final spirit, because I had said, I don't see another card, but I see another spirit.
Yeah, interesting.
And the spirit of that, that energy of creating what we're here to create.
Sure.
At any age, which is what I think is so vital about this recording or this taping on, Louise Hay's, the day of her passing and crossing.
Yeah.
As being so vital.
Yeah, no, it's like I said before we went live to air, I had seen the message, I'd gotten the message, and then had seen that it was 2 years to the day of Dr. Wayne Dyer transitioning the spirit. So it just energetically was just like, wow, and what an amazing opportunity to be able to go on the air, very humbling and a lot of gratitude to be able to talk about the work that they have done, the work that you are doing, and be able to reach a global audience. Because again, this book's been translated into 7 different languages, about to be 9. But really, spirit and energy has no language. It's that feeling, that knowing, and that intuition. And what I like about the book and the work that you're doing, I know you said this is the trilogy, the 3rd book, is you really get into the logical brain and the intuition speaking, and having a difference between the logical brain and the intuitive brain, or the analytical brain and the creative side of the brain that Einstein always referenced. Let's talk a little bit before our second break, which is going to be here in just a few minutes. But let's get into the book, and let's kind of break things down for the listening audience that's listening right now. What is the word? Because they may not know what the chakra is. They may not know what an oracle card is, and kind of just put that in layman's terms. Let's start there with, that's the title of the book, Chakra Wisdom Oracle.
It's Chakra Wisdom Oracle, and it was originally the color Wisdom cards. But when I took it to the UK, and I'd been teaching it as chakra, they changed we agreed to change the name to Chakra Wisdom, and it changed the entire dynamic of the deck to make it more powerful. So, and that's, did I answer your question, or what was the rest of it? I'm sorry.
No, that's, just wanted just to hear your take on that. And the book itself, you talk about reprogramming your life through buzzwords. So just talking about also just the definition of what a chakra is for the inspired listening community that may not know what a chakra is, and also what an oracle deck might be. Some people might know a tarot, some people might know a spiritual deck, some people might know a shamanic deck. So just kind of just a little bit more in layman's terms, so people can check out this book and start to read cards for themselves and others, but also have the understanding of the language behind wisdom oracle or chakra wisdom oracle cards.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing, and it's really funny, the reason I have to tell everybody right now, full disclosure, I'm slightly distracted because my dog just ran away, and my neighbor, I don't know which one, texted me and said, "Your dog's in my yard." Like, okay, hold him, I'm on the radio. I mean, it's that kind of week. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. Yeah. So I told them I'll come get him in a bit. But anyway, the point is that, the difference between an oracle and a tarot deck is the most important difference that you'll get, because an oracle really is a shaman deck. It is shamanistic. It is angel decks. It's anything that's not tarot. So it's kind of like, that old joke of one of these things is not like the other, and it's kind of like, a tarot is always, I think it's 76 cards. It's always like the 54 minor arcana and 22 major arcana. So those are the two decks within one. And the idea is that is always standard with tarot. But with any other deck, like my deck, the Chakra Wisdom Oracle, it's 49 cards. Then a lot of, the angel decks and shaman decks will be 52 or 68 or however many. Some of them are as little as 25. It's just every deck that is not tarot is always a different number. Now, the idea also is that there's a lot of numerology in oracle decks that are not really necessarily in the tarot. So, and although I beg to differ, hold on, I've got to change my mind on that. There is a lot of numerology in tarot. So, I think that there's a lot of there's a big change when it comes to those. Those two types of decks. I think that the Oracle and all of those kinds of decks have their own energy that typically comes through the creator. Now, sometimes people and you can even see the energy, Mark. You can see then that, when you're looking at this kind of stuff, you can see that they, you can see when they're authentic and when they're not. I mean, it's really amazing when something doesn't work, how quickly the public will tell you. I mean, they'll just go, And if 95% of people love something and the others don't, that tells you a lot too.
That's right. Okay, that's the sound of us going into our second break. We're going to be back here in 2 minutes talking about Tori Hartman's new book, How to Read the Cards for Yourself and Others from the Chakra Wisdom Oracle deck. Having lots of fun and spiritual awesomeness here on Inspired Living Radio. Opening the phone lines. You're going to want to call in and ask a question. We'll be back in 2.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Have you wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Mark's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream. Dare to explore. Dare to live. For more information on Mark's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marklanehart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
Tune in to The Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World with me, host Robin Fritz, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'll cover personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice, and more, all to help you tap your own intuitive and healing skills. No ifs, ands, or buts.
America's service members and veterans are strong, forged out of bravery, sacrifice, and duty. Sometimes reaching out for help can be the most challenging and worthwhile mission of all. When you recognize something isn't right, make the call to the Veterans Crisis Line or Military Crisis Line. Dial 1-800-273-8255 and press 1.
And welcome back to Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim. If you guys want to check out some of the work that I'm doing and some of the classes that I'm teaching, spiritual, metaphysical, mediumship, meditation, head over to the OMTimes Institute. You can get to that link through my website at markleanhart.com. You can check out all the great work that we have. There's amazing teachers over there. So if you're looking for some online development, spiritual development, online classes, metaphysical, spiritual meditation, head over to the OMTimes Institute and let's do a little spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual gold. So during the break, Tori, welcome back. We had one of our inspired listeners post on our Facebook page, giving a shout out to Dana Ross. She said, Tori, happy to hear you. Your card sales should go up this week. I'm encouraging everyone I know to use them. She said, I pulled the Joy card for this event, so I'm actually looking at that. I have the deck right here in front of me, the Joy card. And I have to ask, Tori, I'm just curious because I see a lot of resemblance of a woman that looks like you with brown hair through some of these cards, like the Wisdom card and the Despondence card. Is that actually the artist's rendition of you in these cards?
No, she never met me, nor did she see me.
She didn't see you, okay. So
no,
it's interesting.
We never physically met. Yeah, it was just her own vision of what the deck should look like. And I think that that's the beauty of it. Our collaboration was completely without any interference, like without me telling her how to do it or anything. So that was a very, for me anyway, it was a very powerful recognition that, we can collaborate with people energetically, people we've never met.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and I like the cards because, again, a lot of color to them. I like that it just has one word that represents the card. And I had just noticed the theme of this. It'd be interesting to see who this lady with the brown hair was for the artist to her, because she comes through in several of the cards. So I was just wondering if that was based on you, but it is not.
Oh, I've never noticed that.
You never noticed that, huh? So the awareness of maybe it takes somebody else to see that trend. But yeah, there's a lot of cards that has a woman with brown long hair that it's the same face through several of the different cards.
Yeah, you're talking. Okay, yes, I'm looking. Yes, there is the same woman, and many of those are the great spirits. There's a council of the great spirits within the deck. In the new book, I talk about how the Council of the Great Spirits came to me, and that there are actually 17 cards of destiny in the how to read your cards, how to read the cards for yourself and others. I actually go into the deeper form of the cards themselves. And so what you'll find is that there are 7 aspects to every chakra card. Just to give you an example, one of the first aspect with every single card is always it's an energy of multi-generational healing. So the idea is that first aspect is always a life lesson or a journey card. And in the more advanced book that I just put out, the one we're talking about, there's really more detail about it. Almost a third, I want to say, Mark, almost that back half of the book is every card, every aspect, what the reversals mean, and the idea is that in these 7 aspects for each card, the first 4 aspects are the first, second, third, fourth aspect. Those are always our internal journey. That's when we're reading for ourselves. And what I often say is that when you're reading for others, they're almost always going to show up. They occur in the 5th chakra. In other words, when people walk in and we do a reading or a coaching or any kind of facilitating, they show up in the 5th chakra. So the 5th, 6th, and 7th aspects in the new book for each card are really all about how your client is presenting to you. So in essence, they are showing up as the 5th chakra, which I say is the chakra of expression and communication, and it's also the manifesting chakra. So it's kind of how we show up in our lives and what's showing up for us. So everything in your life, and if we ask the listeners right now to look around even your living room, or you're in your car or on the subway, wherever you are, that's what you created your life to be. So if you think about it, you are presenting your entire life in the fifth chakra. As intuitives, we read that immediate fifth chakra when you walk in. What this book does is it takes you into the deeper four aspects and the higher aspects very quickly, and it helps you interpret, as you're looking at the cards, the way a professional intuitive would interpret, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So it's a slightly different take on it, because when we talk about reading the cards for ourselves or for others, I often say, Mark, and you already know this, I never read predictive for myself, okay? Because if I was reading a prediction for myself, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to meet Mr. Wonderful. Or, oh, my goodness, I just won the lottery. It's like, we really can't read predictive stuff for ourselves. But what we can do is we can look at where our energies are focused and shift them through this type of work. And that's where a lot of my work has been. I do a course called Life Purpose Divination, and it's really about trusting your own intuition and your own journey. And people's lives have completely transformed when they really learn to tap into these aspects within. And so it's actually How to Read the Cards for Yourself and Others is a very advanced book, because I'm assuming that most people, like yourself, you pick up the deck first, which is the card deck, and you get the little booklet, and you play with it for a while, and you go, whoa, there's something here. Then you get the toolkit because you want to know the fables. But the How to Read the Cards is really for people who go, okay, I'm ready to make major change, and I want to shift stuff that's going on that I don't like. And that's really what that is. And that's why I'm teaching people, I have 4 levels, and I just did a first level with this book on just kind of certifying them as interpreters. So level 1's the interpreter, then level 2's the master reader. So it's really about working with the principles. And let's face it, Mark, you know this. A lot of us, we've really developed our gifts on our own. There weren't people out there saying, okay, some of us more and more now are teaching, intuitive development or psychic development. And what I'm going to say to everybody listening and to you too is that, hey, what's the difference between us? The difference between us is some people will vibrate toward the work you're doing and go, wow, and get it. And some people will vibrate toward the work I'm doing. But the point is, the message is really the same. And that's the key, is that we're all in sync with one another, because it really is about people finding their own answers now. And that's what our gifts are about. Why do you think there's so many dang coaches out there? A coach is just another word for an intuitive worker. Let's face it, And they're just like doctors, right? You're going to have a good one, and then you'll have one that you're like, really? No, I don't think so. Yeah. And it's fascinating to see the different levels. And I just went through something, and I think you may relate to this. And I'm going to say this to everybody: never try to lie to a psychic.
It's funny that you say that, because I say that a lot in my readings. So that's funny. We're very aligned in how we work, and we're going to have to work together someday in the future here. This is
I'd love to. I'd love to.
Yeah, that's because you're right. Doctors work for us. Doctors are teachers, and you're right with coaches. That's why, I tell people about prospecting, that I can help you find what you're prospecting for, because everybody's prospecting for something different, but you got to put in the work. You got to trust your own intuition. Right. You've got to trust, I don't do predictive work myself. It's one of my favorite quotes comes from Abraham Lincoln, and he talks about one of the best things about our future is that it comes one day at a time. And there's so much magic in the present moment that people are missing it because they're so focused in the future or what they didn't do in the past. And, leaving that external world, looking for all the answers in the external world, when it's all found in the internal world, and that's through your intuition, your awareness. And not everybody's on the same page. Like you said, some people vibe with that. Some people vibe with different people. I like to say vibe with your tribe, whatever makes that, comfortable. and what, can help you go within in your own intuition, but vibe with your tribe.
Mm-hmm. And I love what you're saying, because it really is. See, here's the myth, everybody, that life is happening to you. The truth is, life is happening through you, not to you. So you are the filter through which your life experience happens, which is why, as intuitives, the first thing we deal with, and we may not recognize it sometimes, is that we're dealing with the fifth chakra. You walk in as your message. And what do I mean by that? When you're standing there in a store, okay, and you go in, and you know what I mean, the person behind the counter is hungry as hell, and they don't want to look at you. They're like, next, and you know they're angry. And you say, are you having a bad day? No, I'm fine. What do you need? Okay, then. That right there, that's the lie. And the truth is, when that person is in a bad mood and can look up and say, I'll be right with you. And then you can walk up and say, I know how you feel today. It's one of those days. Yeah. What can I do for you? Then there's a reality there.
Yep.
Yeah. And so what we're talking about, and it's interesting, and I don't know why I'm pulled to tell the story, but it may, I got one of these home warranties, okay, everybody, where if something breaks, the company for $75 is send out a repair person. Well, my air conditioner went out. You can imagine it's about 90 degrees. So, and I have this zone heating thing, and so the guy couldn't come out for a week. So I called a local place. They came out in an emergency, just propped open I had two damper motors that died. Long story short, he propped them open so that they'd work until the other guy came, right? And he gave me a quote. He said, it's going to be $500 to fix it. I said, okay. So the other guy comes from the insurance company, right, the warranty company, and he walks in, he looks, he makes it a big deal. It's like he's, this is going to be a really hard job. And I'm watching him, and everything in my body is saying, don't work with this guy. He's a liar. And what the liar was, and here's the big lie, that he doesn't have enough, he's impoverished, he's scared, and so he's going to try to gouge me, right?
So let's hold that thought right there, and we'll come back and we'll pick up the story here in 2 more minutes. So hold on to that thought. You're listening to Inspired Living Radio with our very special guest today, Tori Hartman. We'll be back in 2.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
I'm Fidel Nshombo. I was born in a city called the Bukavu in the Congo. We were a loving family, and then, boom, everything that I had disappeared in a single day. People think that when you are a refugee and they resettle you to America, and all your problems are done. They don't understand that that's the beginning of everything. I was not born a refugee. I was made one.
It's time we welcome refugee families with open arms. Learn more at embracerefugees.org, brought to you by the Ad Council.
And welcome back to the last segment of Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim. Your chance to call in the next 10 minutes to talk with our very special guest today, Tori Hartman, or myself, at 1-202-570-7057, or post a question on our closed Facebook page, Inspired Living Radio. So, Tori, right at the break there, the insurance guy comes out, AC unit's broken, it's hot, and your intuition is telling you, I'm not vibing with this guy. I need to think about what I need to do.
And he looks at me and he says, well, I got to do all this duct work to get to these 2 motors. And I said, oh, really? Because the other guy told me he could just change them. He just looked at me. Well, I don't know what he thought because you can't get back there. I said, okay. So he leaves, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to pay the money. So I called the other company. They came out right away. They fixed it in 15 minutes, changed both motors, done. Then I get a call from my insurance for the warranty company, and they said, oh, good news. He can come out next week, but the only thing is we don't cover the duct work that he says needs to be done, so it's going to cost you $500. And I said, it's okay, I already got it repaired. The guy was a liar. And, the moral of the story is don't lie to a psychic.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think trust your intuition too. Trust your intuition goes a big way. That trust of that, tapping into that internal world versus the external world can go a long way. And you know this from the work that you're doing. A lot of people say, man, if I just would have trusted my intuition or listened to my heart, I would have saved myself a lot of time, a lot of grief, and, possibly a lot of money.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, is that I was standing there and everything in my body said, don't work with this person. Mm-hmm. And I was glad I listened. And because I listened, I'm sitting in air conditioning. So
it's well worth it.
That's a big message I think we want to give everybody, is that when something doesn't feel right, take a breath and step back and recognize that your soul is telling you something. And that's vital,
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what you do too. You're really guiding people to follow that soul wisdom, And what does a prospect do? What is a prospect? You're mining for something. You're looking for something. You're finding it. And when we find that nugget of gold, we run with it. And people are like, oh my gosh, you have to spend the money. I said, no, I had to save myself the fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and I go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that's the moral of the story, is that, when you know someone's lying, why pretend they're not? I can't tell you how many people will do that. They'll say, oh, but I want to know if he loves me. And I remember saying so many times to people, who cares if he loves you? You sound miserable. That's not love.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what it is. It's like if your whole body knows something isn't right, allow yourself to mourn it. Like grief is love without a place to go. And when you allow yourself to feel the sadness of some loss, you can open up to the realness of love. Mm-hmm. And boy, that's a lot more exciting. It's a better place to be.
Yeah, exactly. And it's that arm wrestling match that we're going to always have between the mind and the heart. And I always, there's actually a quote from Charlie Chaplin that comes to mind where he talks about that we think too much and we feel too little. And I tell people, I help them, in whether it's a workshop or a one-on-one reading, that they need to feel into it and trust that intuition of feeling, and don't let the mind, you don't have to believe everything the mind is telling you, but it's that arm wrestling match of the mind versus the heart. And, one of the things in the book that I liked right from the introduction, it talked about one of the most powerful gifts of the Chakra Wisdom Oracle Cards is that the understanding that the journey to trust your own intuition is already mapped inside of you. And that's very powerful. Totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's the idea, is that the chakra, if you think about it, they're kind of like the 7 keys on a keyboard or notes. So if you think about it, anytime we're pinging off a chakra, it's like a cell tower, it's activating. Right. And I really believe that it's the idea that I don't believe a chakra gets blocked. I think it gets it's in overdrive. And sometimes it can be moving so fast. And overthinking, for example, is the 3rd chakra. Oh, my 3rd chakra's blocked. No, you're processing something, right? You have a new business going on. Oh, yeah. So sometimes we can just tell what's going on based on where we're feeling, if you will, the word. I don't like the word block because I think blocks are just, they're just kind of necessary guideposts on the way to your purpose, because we have to unpack them. But I think that a block really is, I always say your spiritual gift, right? The gifts that you're here to give are going to show up through your personal wounding. Mm-hmm. And if our brain's sole purpose is to protect our intuition, or to protect us, then it's going to block our intuition. Mm-hmm. So, and that's why in the book I talk about the 7 things that you're going to feel or think when your intuition is trying to speak to you and your brain is blocking it.
Yes. Tori, talk about that a little bit more. Go a little bit deeper into the 7 aspects, because I know that's a big bullet point in the book, and we have a few minutes here before the end of the show. If we could kind of just run through those 7 aspects for the listening audience, I think that would be awesome.
Well, I think what we should do, and I'm going to just to modify slightly, I think we should go through what your brain is going to tell you when your intuition is trying to speak. These are the signals. How about that?
I like it. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Okay. The signals that your intuition is trying to speak to you are going to throw you into one of these states or thoughts. That doesn't make sense. I don't understand. I'm confused. That won't work. This is stupid. I quit. And remember, if you don't understand something, that doesn't mean it's not working. And when those thoughts or feelings come up, I don't understand, or I'm confused, it's your brain's way of throwing you into confusion to block your intuition. Because your intuition, like my intuition, was, this guy's an idiot. He's trying to lie to me about how much it's going to cost. Mm-hmm. And my brain was like confused and upset. There were all sorts of feelings coming up, and it becomes cloudy. So when you feel those types of feelings or have those thoughts, it means your intuition is trying to break through. So if we look at it that way and we flip confusion into, wait a second, if I'm in confusion, that means my brain doesn't understand it, and it's trying to protect me. So because your brain's sole purpose is to protect you from anything. Because that one time that those kids made fun of you because you wore a pink dress, you'll never wear a pink dress again. Mark, you'll never wear that pink dress again. The point is that the time people, just leave it in the closet. But the thing is that the one time you did that, anytime you see a pink dress, it might throw you into some kind of like odd sadness. We've all had that where we walked in a room and for some reason we felt sad or strange. It's because our brain is kicking in and saying, don't look, don't do it. That's something that hurt you in the past. And our intuition is going, no, it's just a tree. And your brain is going, but you had poison ivy when you stood near a tree. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So our work, if you will, is to start saying, oh, I'm in confusion. And there's another tool in the book. I use a lot of different spiritual tools. One of them is neutral observer, and we step back and we say, oh, that's interesting. I'm responding this way. Cool. No emotion, but you're feeling it, but you're just allowing yourself to observe that you're having a not so right size reaction or response to something. So if you're hysterical, it's historical. It's not in the moment. There's never a reason to scream and yell and be hysterical with another person. There's never a reason unless it's historical. It comes from somewhere else. So when we can get to the root of the upset, then we can have adult conversations. But we never learned any of that, Mark. That's the whole issue. We didn't learn how to say, Mark, I'm noticing I'm going into this huge upset about your leaving a dish in the sink, and I just want to let you know it has nothing to do with you. See, that's a whole different way than saying, Mark, you did it again. It's like, because that ownership of that dish or that glass in the sink helps me step back and say, wow, if I came home and I saw a glass in the sink, it meant my father was really drunk. So there are signals we have that are going to set us off. And it's more than therapy. It's a personal awareness of our triggers and our own signals. And that's what I believe Chakra Wisdom Oracle, the teachings of it, is about. We can tap into where the feelings are at any time, and based on that, the work is about then drilling it down to the buzzwords we use in our life. And the buzzwords are going to create our outcome.
Yeah, good stuff. And I think because for the sake of time, if you want to catch Tori's profound 7 aspects within the book, you got to go buy the book. So let our listeners know where they can buy the book, how they can visit your site, get a reading with you, get the cards, all that good stuff.
Sure. If you can go to Amazon. Tori Hartman is my name. And if you just look up my name, ToriHartman, on Amazon, you'll find all the books. You'll find the cards. And honestly, I think it's the best place to get it because you'll get a discount. And then, of course, if you want to reach me, I'm at ToriHartman.com, just like my name. And there's lots of goodies on my site and classes that I'll be teaching. You can take virtually and all kinds of fun stuff. So that's what I'm up to, and you can download more information about the cards and the book. And you can also join me on my Facebook page, Chakra Wisdom Oracle. And come on down.
Come on down. You're the next contestant. Well, Tori, it was a pleasure talking with you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. Kind of an energetic day. I always ask people who inspires them, and I already kind of have a feeling I already know who you're going to say, but who inspires you?
My father.
Your father. Okay.
He jumped on D-Day and he passed. And I was very blessed to have a really cool, amazing dad.
Amazing.
And that's who inspires me.
And his service for our country. So I thought you were going to say Louise Hay because that's who I'm thinking of today. But thank you so much, Tori, for being our very special guest today here on
Blessings. Thank you.
3 p.m. Eastern. So until next time, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Namaste.